where someone has a significant other and they want to introduce them to the whole idea of cystic fibrosis. There is not an exact right way to do this. I think I probably wouldn't lead with the "hi, I have cystic fibrosis" as the beginning part of the relationship. But it's essential if you're really going to have a long-term relationship with somebody that they need to know and need to be honest about where you're at with this and what it takes. Because there's a couple of different approaches. One is to pretend it's not a big deal, right, and to minimize. And what that can lead to is if, in the long run, if you're in a long-term relationship with this person, is they end up being surprised. And it feels like that you weren't really open with all that was going on. And we've seen that cause trouble before. The other model is that once you've developed that relationship with the person and you know that this is something you're thinking about long-term, is to be more honest and to have them come alongside as an ally. And that can be an incredibly freeing experience and actually be a great support. And we encourage being open about that over time, particularly as you get into that. And then often that leads to this whole discussion about fertility and family in a more natural progression.
My husband and I met 13 years ago through a mutual friend. He was a friend of mine from college. My husband ended up being roommates with him once they moved to Maryland and started working, so we met through that friend. I think it was probably about 2 months into our relationship that I mentioned and kind of sat down and had that conversation with him about having CF. I wanted to make sure he knew. We kind of realized we were headed towards a long-term relationship, and family was important to him, so it was an important conversation to have.
I've been with my partner, Aaron Kramer, for 7 years. For our first couple of years together, we just enjoyed being in a relationship, and we'd talk about, do we want to be parents? And I, of course, have always wanted to be a mother, but I knew that there would be challenges, and I knew that I had to find someone in order to, if I wanted to be a parent, I'd have to have somebody who's on board with me, and knowing that there will be times where I cannot perform my 50% for parenting. And there will be times that I could perform my over 50% for parenting, and understanding that balance and that they're flexible. And from the beginning, Erin was very flexible with my disease. I remember the first couple of weeks when we were seeing each other, she said, "Why are you coughing so much?" And that's what kind of sparked the beginning of the conversations of cystic fibrosis.
Actually, we had met coaching softball for a JV high school team in our area, and we became friends that way. And the funny thing was, when I said to her, before, I'm like, "Do you remember when I said to you, I'm like, why are you coughing so much?" And she's like, "I have CF." I'm like, "What's that?" And because I noticed, like, after a long time, like, every time we were coaching, doing this, doing that, I'm like, "Do you have a cold? Do you still have a cold? What's wrong? Why are you coughing so much?" So it was kind of funny, and that's, she just told me, and it was like, oh, okay. And I learned more and more and more about it, and then, we had, like I said, we had met that, and then, like, we started dating about a year later.
To learn more about this issue, ask your CF Foundation accredited care center or contact the CF Foundation directly. Call 800-FIGHT-CF or email us at info@cff.org.